I just heard the shots, like 20 shots.
A 3-year-old boy fighting for his life this morning in critical condition following a terrifying mass shooting in Chicago.
We had multiple victims shot, which were transported to various hospitals throughout the city.
13 people were shot last night on a basketball court in the city's south side. So far, none of the victims have died. They're all recovering in various states of condition. The 3-year-old child, whose name has not been released, was shot in the head, carried in the arms of 3 officers to an ambulance.
Man, it was just a lot of police, a lot of ambulance, just a lot of wreckage, a lot of people, everything.
Officers swarmed the park after the gruesome shooting, using hoses to clean the blood from the court. Police believe the shooting is gang-related, but they have no suspects in custody. This incident put Chicago violence back in the spotlight. President Obama addressed the violence in his home city earlier this year in his State of the Union address, less than a month after the shooting death of 15-year-old Hydea Pendleton, killed a week after she attended the president's inauguration ceremony.
What happened to Hydea is not unique. It's not unique to Chicago. It's not unique to this country. Too many of our children are being taken away from us.
When you hear about a shooting like this, a situation like this, it's important to put it in perspective. We know that there were some 1,600 shootings in Chicago this year alone, 315 people who were killed by gun violence. Just last year, the FBI says there were more than 500 people murdered in Chicago. However, Chicago police insist the murder rate here is going down. In this particular case, this mass shooting, we know that investigators, they are looking for the suspect or suspects involved, but at this point, Chris.
We begin this Friday with that breaking news in Chicago. 13 people, including a 3-year-old child, shot when a gunman opened fire on a basketball court in a city park. That child is among the most severely injured right now, listed in critical condition with a gunshot wound to the face.
About 60 police officers were on the scene. Investigators say the shooting appears to be gang-related. Police had stepped up their patrols after a particularly violent Labor Day weekend, which ended with 8 people dead.
About 10:15 p.m. last night, 13 people, including a 3-year-old, were injured in a shooting at Cornell Square Park in the back of the Yards neighborhood. At this time, all the victims have received medical attention at area hospitals, and all the injuries are non-life-threatening. This is obviously an ongoing investigation, so there are details we're working on to confirm and information that can't be released because it's part of the investigation. That said, based on ballistics evidence at the scene and information and intelligence from the scene, we believe the weapon used in this incident was an assault-style rifle with a high-capacity magazine. And based on evidence and our initial interviews with witnesses, this appears to be a gang-related shooting. However, that by no means justifies or lessens the seriousness or the nature of this particular event. At this time, we are speaking with several people, as is common during an investigation. Our investigation is continuing, and we anticipate talking to a number of individuals as we move forward with this case. Just like the residents and communities we serve, no one in this department accepts an incident like this, and none of us will rest until everyone in this city enjoys the same sense of safety and security. Yet what is needed in Chicago and in cities across this country is real action on reasonable gun laws on the state and federal level. We need to keep illegal guns and military-type weapons out of our communities. Illegal guns illegal guns. Illegal guns drive violence. And military-type weapons, like the one we believe to have been used in this shooting, belong on a battlefield, not on a street or in a corner or in a park in the back of the yards. This country should have a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, like the ones used in this event. It's common sense, and it's a miracle in this instance that there have been no fatalities based upon the lethality of the weaponry used at this scene. We should require background checks for all gun sales. At the state level, we need a law that requires the reporting of the transfer of a weapon, because that's how straw purchases occur, and those illegal weapons end up on the streets of our communities. We should not accept assault weapons in our communities, and we cannot accept with ease the ease with which guns are purchased.
There are increased police patrols along a safe passage route in Chicago after a deadly shooting. It's a shooting that took place on the 5700 block of South Princeton. It's not far from Sherwood Elementary School. It happened during a violent Labor Day weekend in which 8 people died from gunfire. ABC 7's Leah Hope joining us now live with the latest. Leah?
Alan, it's 2.5 hours after school let out here at Sherwood, and we are happy to report we understand all the kids made it home safely, but it is quite a different scene than what we saw this afternoon. This community completely saturated with police officers in cars and on foot, but now they are gone. School lets out under a shadow of gun violence. Chicago police saturated the neighborhood around Sherwood Elementary School today. In addition, safe passage workers were armed with information to watch out for any sign of retaliation.
These kids don't have anything to do with this madness out here. These kids are trying to get an education, and that's what we focus on. And we just want to make sure we get them in the building, get them out of the building, get them back home safely.
Last night, Frederick Brown was shot and killed. He was less than a block from Sherwood along the safe passage route.
Rounds just went off, at least 15, 20, maybe 30. We ran. By the time I made it to the back of my kitchen, another 20 rounds went off. I had to hit the floor.
Today, the Chicago police superintendent says while they are only a week into the Safe Passage program for some Chicago public school students, the neighborhoods identified for the secure walking routes are getting extra attention, even when school is not in session.
Those locations are priorities for other types of enforcement. So having said that, I also got to point out that they're also subject to the same crime strategies, which have resulted in almost 500 less shooting victims.
I have seen them at nighttime as well. So, yes, I think it's awesome. We do need help in the neighborhoods, seriously, in all different neighborhoods. So I'm truly grateful. Really, I am.
Some neighbors say they could use the same safe passage security presence throughout the day and night.
They need to be around all the time, like have some sitting on the corners. And when they see it piled up, make them move on.
Chicago police also talked about their most recent crime data. They say when you compare this last August to last year, they say shootings and murders are down. That said, violent crime is a problem that continues to persist. Reporting live in the Englewood neighborhood, Leah Hope, ABC 7 News. Back to you guys in the studio.
She ran from here all the way over there, and I heard her screaming, "Mama!" And then I saw some guy come out, and then that's when all the police started coming, and all of them went over there, and they came out with a gun, and they left really fast.
This teenager tells us what he saw after shots rang out and a bullet hit 5-year-old Haley Dominguez here in the courtyard of her apartment building on Hughes Avenue. This was the scene around 1 this morning. Police say little Haley and her family were coming home from a baby shower when she was hit by a stray bullet. Neighbor Jeanette Flores does not speak English but says she woke up when she heard a loud noise.
Yo estaba muy durmiendo, mi esposo dijo que se oyó un boom. That's it.
For hours, police are seen talking to family members looking for clues. We found several cameras around the building, and it's possible they hold evidence. Neighbors tell us Haley was dancing with other children at the baby shower, and even when a bullet pierced her stomach, she was strong and said, "I'm okay." The 5-year-old is here at Columbia Presbyterian Hospital. She is in stable condition, and right now police are questioning witnesses and looking at surveillance video, but so far no arrest. In Washington Heights, Nicole Johnson, Pix 11 News.